I believe that Rufai Oseni knows the answer to the question he asked his guest. And if he were asked the same question, he will know the answer. But probably to get Nigerians who may not know to know that was why he asked the question as to why Peter Obi, the presidential flag bearer of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, afraid of going into presidential primary election contest with Atiku Abubakar. Well, those who know the answer have been saying the answer, that when Atiku Abubakar goes into a primary election, into a presidential primary election, he spends dollar like rainwater. So that's a major reason for anybody who has no dollar to spend like rainwater. So there is nothing strange about that. Peter Obi may not have that level of richness, because most of us who are poor, always imagine that a rich man is unlimitedly rich. That's the assumption that I see in people, generally speaking. That is one reason. And Peter Obi, no doubt, knows what Atiku Abubakar is up to when it comes to spending money. Those who accuse Peter Obi or insinuate that Peter Obi is always waiting for cooked food rather than participating in the cooking or something like that, probably, suggesting that Peter Obi is stingy. I know that the English people will say you have to be thrifty. You don't spend lavishly. But generosity and wise spending are two different things. Another thing, of course, is knowing your limit. The Yoruba people say, "Awolumate." I'm happy Rufai Oseni speaks perfect, impeccable Yoruba. Awolumate, ìwọ̀n ara rẹ̀ ló mọ̀. That means that you don't get disgraced where you know your limits and you keep to your limits. You don't face embarrassment or disgrace once you don't go beyond your limit. So all these are factors that we must consider rather than thinking of Peter. Well, why will you not be careful about spending if you know that you don't have it like rainwater? Beyond all of that, in this particular instance of the African Democratic Congress, two things. Atiku Abubakar is the initiator and the driver of the coalition. He consulted, discussed with peoples to form the coalition. And they will be mainly those who will decide who carries the flag, the presidential flag of the ADC. In addition to that, there is no doubt that Atiku Abubakar is the principal financier of the ADC. No doubt about that. So anybody going to contest with him, we have to put into consideration those factors. Without wasting words, let's conclude that unless Atiku Abubakar willy-nilly steps down for anybody, nobody can emerge as the presidential flag bearer of the ADC. There's no argument or controversy about that. That is why several persons have been pleading with Atiku Abubakar to step down for Peter Obi for age, and not only for age. As far as I'm concerned, this issue of North, South, and zonal justice for political order, justice, and equity, I don't joke with it. Even if Peter Obi were older than Atiku Abubakar, and it's just two of them we want to choose. If Peter Obi is older than Atiku Abubakar, I will still prefer him. I will still support him. Yes, I will still prefer him for representing North, South, and zonal justice. Those who don't care about justice, what can you expect from them? And that is why Tinubu is in power today. And what has he done with power? I said it, that when Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan was desperate to become Nigeria's president, rather than allowing Yar'Adua's Northwest to produce his successor, to complete 8 years of the Northwest, he abused his power as the acting president to orchestrate his own emergence as Nigeria's president. What did he do in 4 years? What did he do with power in 4 years? He squandered it on waging war against the Boko Haram Muslim community and impoverished the country, created insecurities, and so Nigerians became fed up with him. So the 2015 election was not rigged against him, but he was massively opposed. So issue of justice and equity should not be toyed away with. Tinubu used his privileges as a chieftain of the ruling party to succeed Muhammadu Buhari. What is he doing with power now? Are Nigerians satisfied? Those who are praising his economic reform have no conscience. Economic reform of all subsidies are gone. Economic reform of paying workers less than living wage and claiming to be transferring funds to indigent households. But the bottom line, Peter Obi, if that is what Rufai Oseni wants us to emphasize, cannot stand Atiku Abubakar in spending for whatever reason. And besides that, Atiku Abubakar is the initiator of this coalition and is the principal financier. And I don't see anybody contending or contesting that with him. But you see, we must ask a question. It has just come to my mind. Why is it that no Easterner is challenging the ascendancy of Peter Obi as sole representative of the Southeast in this presidential race? And as I said, there's no saint. People must rise to tell their leaders what they want and insist on it. It's only unfortunately that they are being tamed by Islam and Christianity. That is just it. So, but Nigerians must begin to ask themselves, tell themselves, Islam and Christianity are not God. The Creator wants you only one thing from you: love of your neighbor, consideration for your neighbor, charity to your neighbor, all boiling down with one word: love. So you love your neighbor, you don't do evil. If you don't do evil, how will you reap evil? Of course, there's no human being that will not face some challenges in life. Life is about up and down, graphic. But other than that, if you don't sow evil, you will not reap evil. You will face challenges, you will face difficulties, you will face disappointments, you will fail in some undertakings. But basically, you enjoy the grace of God if you don't do evil to your neighbor. But now they have taken religion to replace morality. So it's as if you don't believe in Jesus, you will not be a child of God. If you don't accept Prophet Muhammad and the Quran, you will not be a child of God. That is the foolery that has corrupted the brains of people. Too many people. But otherwise, anyway. So basically, Rufai Oseni, that's the answer to your question. I know you know the answer, but you want other people to know it from your guest. I have no doubt about that.